Okay, we got some tea, boys. I know it's dark hours, so we gotta get the mood lighting for this dark Twitter drop that just happened. Okay, this was what just happened. It was just confirmed about an hour ago, just translated. So here it is. Junkie says, I'm blowing the whistle on something that will affect every competitive player in Pokemon Unite and be unfair for only me to know about. The ACL toddler players when the next patch is coming out and the details of it to help them prepare for the rest of the ACL. So ACL is the Asia Champions League. It's a big like tournament series that's been going on in Asia for like the last several weeks, at least, if I'm not mistaken. It's kind of a big deal. Like Asia gets a lot of officially sponsored Pokemon Unite tournaments, whereas in the West, it has to be something like the one that Spriggles just did, or that's, I guess, actively ongoing, the one with Nouns. So it's kind of a big deal the way that the Asia scene gets treated compared to even the rest of the world. And Junkie, having stepped down as a competitive player, decided, you know what? Frick it, dog. Let's tell everybody. So now that he's stepping down as a player, he feels it's only right to share the league patch notes since you've been shown them. Hope it helps all the teams have an even playing field, and the devs can step up the communication with Western comp scene, which is basically what I just said, right? The Asia scene is really, really big. Officially with Pokemon Unite, the Western scene, it's UCS, and that's it. There's nothing other than the official Unite Championship Series. So very cool, very neat, and here it is. So these are like the original ones that are leaked. It says at the top, when it's going to go live, January 31st, 2023. They're confidential. Please do not share with people unrelated to the tournament or on social media. I would never do that. I would never share this on social media. I didn't share it. Not my tweeter. Not my tweet, dude. Okay, so basically, you didn't get this from me. Didn't come from me, but we're talking about it. So it's all in Japanese. Clearly, I don't read Japanese. So you have to bear with me for a second here. It's going to be a little bit scuffed on the translation. But we're going to look at it. Here we go. And just to give this more credibility, this was retweeted by El Chico Eevee. It was posted about 2 hours ago. And you have Eevee here talking about the nerfs and everything in the patch notes that are then shown here. So here we have the first page. And like I said, it's translated from Japanese to English, so it's a little bit scuffed. But we're going to start with Sableye. The big nerfs are to Sableye, Mime apparently, which is kind of surprising. Scyther, which please, thank you, he needed. And Dark Urshifu, which was turbo broken. Okay, so here we go. So Shadow Sneak, it's no longer like instant, right? It was 3/4 of a second to go invisible. Now it's going to be 1.5 seconds. And a big thing here, you can no longer intercell if you're incapacitated before entering, which I cannot tell you the number of times playing Cinderace, I Blaze Kick onto him while he's visible, and by the time I hit him, he's gone. Like, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. So it seems like now that's gone. Thank you. Like Dragapult, it didn't work that way for him. Sableye, so broken, man. So, but he can take 90% of his HP and still stay invisible as long as somebody's in range. It's so dumb. I'm glad to see he gets a fat nerf. It takes him longer to go invisible, and he won't go invisible if he's incapacitated, which means every character has 8 stuns in the game, so it should be a little bit less rampant in ranked, so we'll see. And here we go. Now on to Dark Shifu, the Wicked Blow nerf. Damage reduction while charging from 30% to 20%. That's kind of a big deal because now, so at level 5, you're unstoppable and you gain a defense buff when you're charging your Wicked Blow, which first of all is still broken. The fact that it exists at all is still broken, but they reduced it from 30% reduction now to 20%. Like, sure, okay. It's still really, really strong. We'll see how much that affects it, but at least it gets a nerf. I'll take a nerf. We'll see what happens afterwards. And then the plus move is going to be 40% rather than 60%. Like, Shifu charging Wicked Blow was unkillable. There's nothing you could do. Oh, he's charging Wicked Blow? We lose. GG. Finally, he gets a little bit of a nerf. That's something 40% is freaking insane, right? It's just power creep on Lucario. Power Up Punch, he's not unstoppable until he's level 11 or 12 or whatever it is. I don't freaking play Lucario. What am I, some kind of baby? And Shifu gets this at level 5, and then this plus at whatever level he gets it. It's so broken. Either way, I'm glad to see it get nerfed. And here we go. His ult, 25% damage reduction. Pretty woo. 25% is not that big of a nerf, but we'll see, I guess. I mean, 25%, sure. In the grand scheme of things, in a vacuum, 25% is a lot compared to how much damage Shifu actually does. I don't know if it's that much, so I'm very curious to see. We'll see what ends up happening here. And now we have blue Shifu buffs. Kind of a banger. Now for the next one, I don't play Shifu at all. So Rapid Strike, I mean, I imagine this looks like a nerf, right? Which is interesting. It says shorten the waiting time of the move. So is it 1.5 from 2 seconds? I'm not really sure what that means. Whatever. Surging Strikes. Now the cooldown's 11 seconds rather than 13. So that's a 2-second buff, which is pretty big. We'll see how this works out for blue Shifu here, especially after the black Shifu nerfs. Or red, I suppose. We'll see. I hope it's enough. I hope we don't see that thing everywhere. And I hope blue Shifu doesn't come out super broken. Next, we have the nerfs to Scyther and Scizor, just kind of because they're 2 and 1. First of all, Swords Dance. The cooldown is now 6 seconds instead of 5. It only increases your attack by 12% rather than 15. That's kind of like a small slap on the wrist. We'll see how it really works. And Dual Wing Beat got a 1-second nerf, which if it resets the way it's supposed to, that could be a big deal. Hopefully they patch that. And on Scyther, you see Swords Dance goes from 6 to 7. So they're a little bit different on Scizor and Scyther. And then the big nerf to Scyther's Unite move, which is so turbo broken. It's a free kill on any squishy. Even some of the all-rounders, actual free kill. It's so nasty. So the first attack range is reduced by 30%, which is good because it felt like no matter where you were, if Scyther is on your screen and he wants you dead, you're dead. So that's kind of a big deal. And second dash distance reduced by 20%. So that's a big range nerf to Scyther, which feels like he desperately needed it because he could go anywhere. He obviously plays like a speedster, so he should be pretty mobile. But it was the fact that if he's on your screen, you're dead. Of course, I'm saying this is like an attacker player. If he's there and he wants you dead, GG, have fun. You're actually in spawn now. So that's good to see the range get nerfed a little bit. Next, we have the Mime nerfs, which I'm a little bit surprised to see get nerfed. He was still pretty strong with his walls and confusion, which is what they're going after, right? So for barrier Mime, when you confusion somebody into your barrier they've placed, the damage is 15% less. Although it's interesting to note that it's the same if you just wall them against a wall on the map. So, I mean, that makes sense, I guess, a little bit because it's harder to just wall somebody on a map. They have to get themselves in a weird position. But it is interesting to see that they're going to nerf the barrier damage whenever you confusion them. And they're also coming for power swap. So the movement speed that you increase now is only 10%, down from 15% before. And the amount you healed when connected is 15% less. So that was actually kind of a big deal, especially a power swap T-Tar or some big melee character like that could just shred through teams. And we'll see how it plays out. I think T-Tar is still going to be pretty unstoppable, especially if you have a Blissey on your team. But it is a big change. 10 to fit from 15 and 15% less on the healing is kind of a big deal. So Mime is probably going to see a pretty, I would say, honestly, probably pretty steep drop in usage, but we'll see. Next, we have his ult, and the damage is decreased by 10% in his ult. And honestly, I don't feel like that's a very big deal. Now, the way Mime is used, especially once he got nerfed in the last time he got touched, his ult was no longer for damage anymore. It's really just a big crowd control initiate type thing, right? You run into the enemy team with your follow-up behind you, and you can stun all 5 of their players if they're in that AoE. So to be honest, the damage I don't think is a big deal, but we will see. I don't think this changes very much. As long as the stuns are the same, I think his ult is just as strong as it was, really. It was really just used effectively as an initiator rather than I'm going to go kill everything. Next, we have Clefable buffs. The healing by Moonlight Spotlight got buffed by 15%, which is good because honestly, I feel like the Clefable Moonlight healing was pretty trash. Although I will say it's interesting that Clefable's been getting picked up a lot more lately. So that maybe takes Clefable into being the best pick. I'm kind of interested in that. And now for Gravity, I can't tell if this is a buff or a nerf. Gravity time to disable the opponent's Pokemon. I don't know if that has to be active or it disables for them. If they're disabled for a full second, that's a pretty big buff. Doubled the buff, which would be pretty big for my boy Clefable, who has one of the lowest win rates in solo queue, or just on ranked ladder in general, right? Which is majority people play solo queue. They're making a little bit of changes with HOOPA. They're changing the way you activate Phantom Force. I don't really see a lot of HOOPA, and he was turbo broken last UCS, so I wouldn't hate to just not see him this season, but we'll see how this goes for him. I wouldn't hate to just not see him, but they're changing him. Hopefully he's not turbo broken again. And of course, I say that on the last page of these patch notes, we have Hyperspace Hole getting it changed. Now the cooldown is only 10 seconds down from 12, kind of a big deal. And when you're waiting to return, you can go 10 seconds after the last time. Now you have a 15-second cooldown. You can't just warp back and forth. You have to wait 15 seconds. Now with the new patch, you have to wait 10 seconds. That's a big deal. You can portal a lot more. And the recovery effect starts immediately. That's a huge thing. Half a second, now it starts immediately. That buys your whole team, let's say all 5 players return and come back. That buys your team 2.5 seconds more of fighting when you're all together. That's a massive change. And I honestly think that might be enough to bring HOOPA back into the meta, even though they nerfed home base. And on top of that, they decreased its percent to charge by about 15% on its ult. So you get it 15% faster. Kind of nuts. I really think after I say HOOPA, I don't want to see it. He's looking pretty good. HOOPA is looking pretty good, dog. Like that's pretty nuts. And then we have Shadow Ball damage increased by 12% and Shadow Ball Plus damage increased by 12%. So these patch notes all came from Japanese leagues and the Asia Champions League. That's kind of a big deal. That's kind of a big deal. The fact that they're able to communicate with the Asian players and the Asian scene so much better, and then everywhere else in the world, they just don't care about. It just is really unfortunate, but we got it eventually. It just kind of sucks. We need somebody to do this, right? hopefully that changes. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think about HOOPA changes specifically. To me, that's the biggest one. Hope you guys have a great day. Smash sub for more videos. Peace out.